They say I may look like a puppet, but I'm as real as it gets. Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. I am Raphael and I'm here to review episode 12 of The Real Housewives Who Have Friends Who Look Like Sesame Street characters of Potomac. So we start the episode off with Karen and her husband Ray looking at the place that she's going to have her one-woman show at with 50 other performers that nobody else knew about, and she's having it at this place called the DC Improv. Karen, she's proud that she's going to be the first non-comedian to be hosting an event at this location, and Karen, she was very smart on choosing this location for her first show because it's much more smaller and more intimate. That way her and her fans can have a much more intimate conversation. Unlike Robin and Giselle, who hosted at this high school auditorium with 1,100 seats and only 15 people showed up. And it made it look empty. So Karen, she's meeting up with Matt, her assistant, also the producer of this whole show. He starts telling her what they're going to be doing at her show and how Jasmine Masters, and if you don't know who Jasmine Masters is, I suggest you go search her up because she is the iconic drag queen from RuPaul's Drag Race Season 7, and she's known for so many iconic quotes. And So Karen, she has a couple of comments from Matt. She was just like, wait a minute, Matt. So are you telling me that this is all we're going to be doing from the very beginning of the show to the very end? Are we going to be making a lot of money? Because I want to be on stage for less than 5 minutes. And is my show going to be better than Robin and Giselle? That's all I want to know. So she also goes on to say that her show is going to be the kickoff to Pride Month, which is June 1st, I believe. And she's going to have a love panel discussing relationship, love, Grindr this, Grindr that. And if you don't know, Grindr is an app for gay men mostly. And, you know, it's a hookup app or a relationship app, whatever you want to call it. Or so I've heard. You know, I've heard through a friend. I don't have any personal experience myself. So Karen, she continues on and she was like, oh, I just want to know, you know, are we going to be talking about your relationship on the Grindr or if it's not on the Grindr? I just want to know if it's on the Grindr or not. So then Ray, he wakes up all of a sudden. He was just like, wait, the Grindr, the Grindr? Wait, the Grindr, it's going to be above ground, right? Oh, Ray, he looks so adorable. He looks so confused, man. He threw Michael underneath the bus. And he was like, wait a minute. Wasn't Michael on the Grindr at one point? So then Ray, he was just like, wait a minute. So is this going to become like a Grindr party? And then Karen, Karen had the right response. She was just like, well, I mean, if it becomes a Grindr party, I'm not going to mind. We're just going to need security. I'm like, ooh, Karen, don't forget my invitation. So then we head over to Mia's house, and this is where things get a little interesting and a little uncomfortable because Mia's Pokemon, Jacqueline, she comes on over. And if you've ever watched the beginning of a porno video and how the two people, they pretend like they don't know each other, but one of them, they come on over to the other one's house and they're like, hey, I'm here to fix your kitchen. I'm here to fix your fridge, your toilet, your whatever. Next thing you know, they end up doing each other in the living room. That's the same type of vibe that I got with this whole entire scene. I'm like, what kind of fake acting is this? Jacqueline, she's coming in. Gordon, he's grabbing her at the hip and everything. And I'm like, okay, what's happening? Mia, she's trying to set the tone by getting the wine. She's telling Gordon, Gordon, I'm going to get some of your favorite wine. I know it's your favorite wine, but I mean, Jacqueline is here and she's like, you know, she's like family. So let's share the wine with her. And I'm like, okay, what's happening? You know, they're all three of them are getting close to each other. And I'm over here just clutching my booty hole. I'm like, wait a minute. I don't want to be a part of this. So then Mia, in the confessional, she goes on to open up her mouth even more. And she was just like, well, you know, Jacqueline, she's like our sister wife. She's like our sister wife, but without the benefits. Now, Mia, stop. You know she has the benefits, she has insurance, and she has a car. Stop the lies. So then they move it over to the living room. And I'm like, okay, what's happening? What's going on? Who's going to take off their clothes first? At this point, that's what I'm anticipating. Gordon, he's sitting on the end of the couch while Jacqueline, she's in the middle and Mia, she's on the other end. Gordon, he's a little bothered by this. So he tells them, how come I'm not sitting in the middle? How come she's sitting right there? And I'm like, you're fighting over who's sitting where on this couch when we're just here to have a conversation. I'm not sure what you thought we were going to do, but we're just here to film the Real Housewives of Potomac, not the Real Freaky Wives of Potomac, even though that could be a thing too. So Jacqueline, she was just like, oh, do you want to switch spots? Do you want to switch spots? Gordon was just like, no, it's fine. You can sit there. You can sit there. And I'm like, oh, okay. So we see what he likes. So then Mia, she breaks the ice or at least makes everything even more uncomfortable. And she was just like, I just think it's so funny how Giselle just, you know, asked us those questions about you and Gordon back at her event at the Reasonably Delusional podcast event. I just thought it was so funny that she would assume that you're with Gordon. Like, isn't that so funny, right? So then Jacqueline, she started sweating. She was just like, okay, Just remember your lines that you practiced over and over and over last night. Mia gave you a script, so just... Okay, here we go. Yeah, it's so funny. It's so funny. Like, why would she assume that I'm with Gordon? I'm just playing, baby. Just go along with it, okay? I'm just doing this for the cameras. No, I love you. I love you and your wife. Yeah, it's just so funny. I just don't know why she would assume that. Like, me and Gordon, we're like the best of friends, and we're... hold on, I forgot my script. Me and Gordon, we're like the best of friends, and we would never cross that boundary. Like, just because me and you like to take Charisse? Oh, just because me and you like to take showers. Sorry, you didn't spell it correctly. Just because me and you like to take showers doesn't mean anything. That's it. We just like to, you know, take showers together. Now, Jacqueline, come over here. Come over here. I just want to ask you something really quickly. How much did Mia pay you to lie? Like, I know Mary J. Blige says, I was your lover and your secretary. But Jacqueline, she took it to the heart. Like, her version is, I was your lover and your representative. Working every day of the week. Like, Jacqueline, please, it's not adding up. It's not making sense. So then Mia, she continues on. And again, she continues to put her foot deeper in her mouth. And she was just like, I mean, me and Jacqueline, we like to take showers and that's it. But I mean, that's it, right? I mean, just because I supposedly told Giselle, because I was a little tipsy, I told Giselle that, you know, Gordon may have or may have not paid for your car. And now all of a sudden, you're her sugar daddy and everything. Do you think that's so funny, right, Gordon? Gordon, he starts sweating. He was just like, wait a minute, I'm not her sugar daddy? So then Jacqueline, she was just like, oh, you know, the reason why Gordon, he paid off my car and stuff, it was because I was in a bad relationship and I was trying to get out of it. So he helped me pay for the car. And I'm like, you know, nice try. I give them an A for effort for trying to manipulate this whole scenario, but I just wish that they were upfront about it. I mean, at this point, it's 2023. Damn, it's 2023. Happy New Year, everybody. It is 2023. That is crazy, but it's 2023, Mia. You know, why not just come out with it? She's honest about most of her stuff in her life, you know, when it comes to how her and Gordon met, how, you know, she was at the strip club or, you know, a steak and lobster strip club, whatever she used to work at. She's honest about all of that, but why is she not honest about this whole relationship between her and Gordon and Jacqueline? I mean, if you were just put it out there, we could be done with it and we could move on from it. But the more you keep disclosing and the more you keep hiding from us, the more we're curious about it. We then see Ashley meeting up with the Potomac housewife rejects that she calls friends. And then we see the infamous Sesame Street character herself, Tickle Me Elmo, aka Deborah. Deborah was sitting at that table with the camera onto her as if she was the baddest bitch on this show. I mean, she was whipping her hair around every 5 seconds. She was just like, I'm just so gorgeous. I'm so fucking beautiful. Giselle has nothing on me. Oh my goodness, wow. Hey, Ashley, how are you? Wait, get my good side. I'm looking at her like, oh, Deborah, you know, if I was you, I would just cut all friendship with Ashley for even putting you on this show for you to get dragged on Twitter. Because if you go on Twitter right now, it is not looking too pretty for her. Ashley refers to this group as PYT, which stands for a pretty young thing. I'm looking at Tickle Me Elmo like, it should stand for pathetic, yikes. And as soon as Giselle walks in, tacky. But Ashley, she goes back to this group whenever she needs the confidence booster to remind herself that she's still pretty, she's still young, and she's still dealing with a thing, aka Michael. So then in comes Giselle. And I'm like, now why is she here? So she shows up and she tells the table, okay, we got 10 minutes to film. Hi, Ashley. Hey, Deborah. Who are you two? Who? You two didn't make the cut? Oh, that's pretty unfortunate. Okay, so anyway, so Deborah, tell me everything that happened between you, Chris, and Eddie. Tell me everything. I need to know. And then Deborah. Was it worth it, Deborah? Was it worth it? Was it worth it, Deborah? Was it worth it? Was your TV time worth it? Because Deborah, she proceeds to lie like a welcome mat. And she goes on to say, at Karen's party, I was at the bar. And you know when you have a feeling that somebody's looking at you? So I look over to my left and I see Candace's husband, Chris. He was looking at me. He was looking at me up and down, licking his lips. He was just so ready to talk to me. So I introduced myself to him and I said, hey, I'm Deborah. He said, hey, I'm Chris. I said, well, my husband's name is Chris as well. He said, oh, well, I mean, so many Chris, we're all alike. And I was just like, what? Like, what's going on here? Next thing you know, Wendy's husband, Eddie, I call him Happy Eddie because he introduced himself to me and he was just so happy and flirty and everything. Like, he was basically asking for my number. It was insane. If I did not know he was married, I would have thought that he was trying to hit on me and trying to marry me right then and there. I could not believe the bullshit that was coming out of Deborah's mouth. I'm like, you can't be serious with this, right? And then, of course, the producers, they have to rewind the footage. We go back to that same exact moment that she's talking about. She's at the bar. Chris, he's standing right next to her, looking down at his phone. Not once did he ever look up at her or try to flirt with her or anything. And then at the very bottom, it says, Chris, not looking at Deborah. Ooh, those producers are hilarious. So then Deborah, she introduces herself like, oh, hey, I'm Deborah. Chris, he doesn't even sound interested in the conversation. He was just like, oh, hey, I'm Chris. And she was just like, oh, yeah, well, my husband, his name is Chris, too. And then what did he say? Oh, yeah, Chris, it's a pretty common name. That's what he said. He said pretty common name. Not, oh, yeah, we're all pretty common. That he was never trying to come on to you. And then the fact that you're trying to drag Wendy's husband into this whole situation, like saying, oh, he was so happy. He was so flirty. If I didn't know any better, he was coming on to me. I'm like, wow, the level of delusion. I mean, Deborah is as delusional as me when somebody holds the door for me and I think that they're in love with me. So I can relate to her in that way. But I mean, it's pretty scary that she's really believing this. Like, wow, like, you know, obviously she's her #1 fan. And then here comes Ashley. Ashley was just like, oh, well, you know, none of my friends are liars. All of my friends, you know, they all tell the truth. And I'm like, anyways, and you know, Giselle is just eating this up, whether she's lying or not. She's just gonna believe everything that Deborah is saying to her because, of course, she wants to take Candace and Chris for some reason down. And, of course, this is just more ammo to Giselle. And what's funny about Ashley is that she wants to come off as if she's so concerned about Candace and her feelings and her marriage to Chris, saying, oh, what if Chris is cheating on Candace behind her back and she doesn't even know it? You know, I will feel bad just sitting here knowing all this information about Deborah telling me that Chris is coming on to her and I'm not telling her. Maybe I should tell her. Maybe I should even tell Wendy about, you know, the allegations towards Eddie. And I'm like, Ashley, you know you don't give a fuck about either one of their feelings. You know that you just want to produce a messy scene and you want to, you know, stir the pot and kind of move back and see everybody come at Deborah. That's what you really want to do. And, you know, it's just so painfully obvious. Like, you really want to relate your situation with that zombie Michael to Chris and Candace and saying, oh, yeah, I don't want her to feel the same pain that I did in my marriage. You know you don't care. So let's stop pretending. Like, Ashley... We then head over to Wendy's house and she's still recovering from her kidney stone surgery. So she's there with her husband, Happy Eddie, and the kids. The kids are playing around. Eddie, he's trying to smooth talk Wendy. He was just like, oh, you know, by the way, I was at this bakery the other day and I thought of you and I actually got you a donut, one of your favorites. One of the sons, he heard that and he was looking at the dad like, wait a minute, huh? What? Did you say that you got a donut for mom? No, you didn't. You got that donut for yourself. I thought that was a cute little moment. So eventually, Wendy and Eddie, they sit down to talk because Wendy, she wants to fill him in on everything that Ashley had told her about Deborah. You know, you know, we didn't get Charisse this entire episode. You know, whoo, that was a good way to start the year. We didn't get Charisse the entire episode, but then we get Deborah. So it's just like one hot mess leaves and then the other hot mess comes in. So Wendy, we see in the flashback that she sat down with Ashley to talk about the whole situation. Ashley, she goes on to say, oh yeah, my friend Tickle Me Elmo, she told me that your husband actually came on to her at the party and he was being very flirty. So Wendy, she didn't take it serious. She probably knew like, okay, Ashley, I see what you're up to. So Wendy, she was just like, Ashley, what are you talking about? Like, what's happening? What's going on? So then Ashley, she was just like, oh, well, I mean, supposedly, allegedly, and you did not hear this from me. I'm sorry, Wendy, I'm so sorry to tell you this, but he was smiling at Deborah. I'm sorry. I know it's very hard to hear, but he was smiling at her. I know. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm like, Ashley and Deborah, both of you are so pathetic. And the reason why Wendy didn't take that whole situation serious is because she knows that this is Ashley's pattern. She knows that what they're trying to do with Candace and Chris, they're probably trying to do on Wendy and Eddie. They obviously didn't work out last season when, when Giselle and Robin and even Ashley at some point tried to do the whole situation on her and her marriage. It didn't work back then. So now Wendy was just like, yeah, I see what type of game you played last season. You're not going to play me this season again. It's not going to happen. So I just love that her and Eddie didn't take the whole situation serious, including Eddie. He was just laughing at the whole thing like, wait, so I can't even smile anymore? Like, oh, I'm sorry. So then he was looking at his daughter. He was just like, oh, I'm sorry. I can't smile at you because people are going to think it's flirting. Like, it's really, really pathetic, like Deborah's accusations. And I just love that Wendy didn't take it serious. In the confessional, she was just like, well, why will Eddie even be looking at her or, you know, even be interested in anybody else? I mean, just look at me. He has me. And I'm like, wow, all right, Professor. Then we see Giselle, Robin, and Mia meeting up at this ice cream place, and already Mia is talking way too much about her son. We did not need to know all the information that she let us know about him. I mean, you could have just said that your son had a cramp and that's it. Same thing for you, Robin. Both of you, between Robin a couple of episodes ago in Miami, sharing about how she still gets naked in front of her son, and now Mia with this. Yeah, we really didn't have to know all of that. But Giselle, she wants to get down to the bottom of everything right away. Again, she's on a time schedule, right? She was just like, okay, we got 5 minutes. So she was just like, oh, so Mia, you know, where were you? Because, you know, me, Robin, Ashley, and Karen, we met up. And Karen, she actually let us know a lot about the conversation that you had with her. And I just don't know why the producers cut out that entire scene of all 4 of them in the luncheon together. Like, we get it in a flashback instead of a proper scene. Like, we get Jacqueline, Gordon, and Mia having this awkward moment together at their house, but we couldn't get that whole entire scene play out itself. But okay, so Mia, she goes on to say, I mean, what did Karen tell you exactly? So then Giselle, she just starts spilling out everything. She was just like, oh yeah, Karen said something about, you know, you supposedly using a flashlight on Jacqueline and putting it inside her. I'm like, please, Giselle, we're at a restaurant. Like, have some class. But continue though. So then Mia, she was just like, I mean, it was just all playful and everything. It was just me and her, you know, when we were younger and everything. And I put my flashlight inside her like this. Click, click. And that's it. I mean, it was kind of like theatrical. I was tempted to even get a tongue and kind of open it up. You know what I'm saying? It was nothing serious. So Giselle and Robin, they're both looking at her like, okay, how can we ice her out next? So then Giselle, she moves on to the next question or the next comment. And she was like, well, Karen, she let us know more about you and Gordon supposedly messing around with Peter's girlfriend. How come you didn't tell us that? And you know, that's one thing I will give Giselle. Giselle has the audacity to say and ask whatever is on her mind. Mia goes on to explain to them, well, I mean, we weren't technically talking about Peter's girlfriend. We were talking about Peter, but now that we're talking about her, I mean, me and her, we don't talk anymore. We're kind of like not friends anymore. But she didn't sleep with my husband, Gordon. She only kind of like, you know, foreplay. That was it. And it actually happened on our wedding night. And I'm like, wait a minute, the plot thickens. Robin and Giselle, they're going crazy. They're like, wait, what? On your wedding night? What do you mean on your wedding night? How? Like, I don't get it. She was also part of your bachelorette party. I don't get why she was there. So then Mia, she continues to elaborate, and she was just like, well, I mean, she was part of my wedding. She sang to us when we were coming down the aisle. And I'm like, what? So the same woman, which is Peter's girlfriend, she foreplayed with your husband on your wedding night, but she was also in your wedding, and she was singing as both of you were coming down the aisle. Can you imagine how crazy this story sounds like? I'm gonna need HBO to make this a TV series. Like, imagine being Peter's girlfriend and singing for them as they're coming down the aisle, and then as soon as they say, I do, then you proceed to do the husband. Like, that is crazy. But I mean, again, if they like it, then okay, then so be it. You know, that's their life, so it's whatever. But Robin and Giselle, they're shocked. Mia, she goes on to say, well, I mean, I'm never going to tell Karen anything anymore because, I mean, look, I told her something so personal, and then she goes back and tells everybody else. And I'm like, but Mia, you told Karen where there was like probably like 20 cameras around you filming this whole thing for everybody, for the whole world to see. So it wasn't like it was going to be this top secret to begin with. So she goes on to say, she goes on to tease Giselle. She was just like, I'm pretty sure that Karen wouldn't appreciate if I went around telling everybody else the real reason why she hates Charisse. She wouldn't appreciate that to begin with. So Giselle, you know, Giselle was just foaming at the mouth. She was like, wait, huh? What did you say about Karen? You said you have something on Karen that I don't know? Please tell me more. I want to know more. Give it to me now, Mia. I want to know more. And I'm like, Giselle, relax. We're going to find out in the next couple of episodes. But Mia, she refused to tell that information. And like I said, we'll eventually find out from Sleepy Charisse herself eventually. We finally get to Karen's one-woman show that she's headlining at the DC Improv. So she's showing up, she's checking out everything. She looks so good in her jumpsuit, her hair looks good. So she's backstage. One by one, they all start coming in. Giselle, she's the first one. She looks really good in that green dress. As she's going down the stairs though, somebody stops her. This man stops her and was just like, oh, hey, Karen Huger. You know Karen probably sent that man to Giselle and she probably paid him extra, like confuse her with Karen. That's gonna hurt her ego. So Giselle, she was just like, no, I'm not Karen, I'm Giselle. So she kept it moving. Ashley, she comes in next with her +1, Tickle Me Elmo, aka Deborah. You know, Deborah probably walked into this club thinking, ooh, this is gonna be my moment. I'm gonna get a rise out of Candace. Oh, they're probably gonna give me a champagne flute and I'm probably gonna be in the middle. Mia and Jacqueline walk in next and Mia, she looks great. Jacqueline, So Candace, she walks in next and she's with her +1, which is her mom, Mama Dorothy. And Candace, I think she had the best look of the night to me. I love the neon yellow shirt that she had on with the purple lipstick. It was such a good combo. So Mama Dorothy, on the other hand, she was being a little fake to me because she walked up to Giselle and she hugged her. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, just a couple of episodes ago, you insinuated that Giselle was a snake and now you're hugging her. And on top of that, if I was you, I wouldn't be hugging her because I'm pretty sure that Candace, your own daughter, I'm pretty sure that she filled you in on everything that Giselle was trying to do to her in her marriage with Chris. Yet you're here hugging her, the enemy. But okay, so they take a seat and Giselle, she informs everybody that Charisse, she feels some type of way that Karen never invited her to her event. Yeah, she could have came as a +1, but she wanted to be invited exclusively by Karen Huger, the Grand Dame herself. And I'm like, aw, Charisse, boo-hoo, boo-hoo. Yay, no Charisse this episode. But unfortunately, we're probably gonna have to see her next episode. So let's celebrate while we can. So then Ashley, she keeps it moving and she was like, oh, speaking of Karen, Mia, I actually, heard something about you and Jacqueline. Karen told me that you put a flashlight or something inside Jacqueline's vagina. And I'm like, Ashley, Mama Dorothy is right there. 2 seats away. She's probably listening to this like, you know what, let me look away. Like, that is crazy. So then all of a sudden, Jacqueline, unprovoked, she just screams it out. She was like, oh, you mean when Mia put a flashlight inside me to inspect when I had a yeast infection? And I'm like, okay, what's with the oversharing this episode? Like, what is going on? Jacqueline, very unprovoked. Nobody even asked you that. And Mia, she was like, well, I mean, Jacqueline, I never said that that was the reason, but I mean, now they know. I told them that it was just for fun, but I guess now they know the real reason. Giselle, she was just looking at them like... So we finally get this show on the go, right? Somebody gets on stage. I think it's a host or whatever. She hosts something, then she gets off it. And I'm like, okay, so where's Karen? Then a comedian gets on stage. And I'm like, okay, this is still not Karen. Where is Karen? They're all trying to figure out like what's going on, what's happening. Meanwhile, Karen is somewhere in the back talking to the security guard. She's sitting down. She's relaxing. She was just like, well, I mean, the performance is going to go on in like 10 minutes and I'm very excited. This is my first one-woman show, but, I just pray that everything goes well. I'm very, very excited for this event. And I'm like, Karen, get your ass out on stage and talk. What are you doing? Like, I'll be so annoyed. At least with Robin and Giselle, even though 3 people showed up, at least it was Robin and Giselle the entire time on stage. Karen, she got on stage for like 2 seconds and then she got off. So eventually we see Robin. Robin, she came in late and Robin... First of all, she came in late because her and Juan, they got into an argument. Juan, he didn't want to drop her off. He didn't want to leave his house. So she had to catch an Uber. So she walks in. She runs inside, right? She was like this. Oh my God. Oh my God. I need to deliver these news to Candace. Hey, everybody. Hey. Hi, Giselle. Yeah. Hey, when's the wedding? The wedding is not happening. I'm just making this up, but don't tell anybody. Candace. Hey, Candace. Hi, Candace. So that woman right there, that's Deborah. That's the one that Ashley, that's Ashley's friends that's making rumors up about your husband. That's her right there. And I'm like, Robin, you just got into the place. She came in starting mess already. So Candace, she directs her attention right over to Elmo. And she was just like, oh, so that's her. Interesting. Well, I mean, I don't want to focus my attention on Sesame Street characters. And Deborah, you could tell that they were talking about her. Robin, I'll give her 2 points because Robin, she told Candace, oh, don't worry. I got you. I got you, Candace. Yeah, I'm with you on this one. And I'm like, what? You're going to jump her or something? Like, Deborah, she heard them talking about her. So she started looking down. She was like, ooh, let me scroll through Twitter while they're looking at me. Let me keep scrolling. So eventually the show, it continues. Giselle, she was doing the same thing that Karen was doing at her show last episode, being a hater. She was just like, what's going on here? Who's this person on stage? She was looking at the little brochure. She was just like, what act are we on? I think we're on act 2 right now. So Karen, she finally makes her grand entrance after 3 hours. She gets on stage and she was just like, hello, everybody. Let me get my mic. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Grand Dame, an evening with me and all my friends. I love everybody. Have a good night. Enjoy the show. Goodbye. And then she gets off stage. And then we get Jasmine Masters. She's performed, and we can't even see the performance because they put a little screen that says, oh, production couldn't pay for her song or whatever. And just a hot mess. I'm like, what kind of show is this? I get it that it's supposed to be Karen and friends, but how many friends do you have, Karen? Too many, obviously, because you were only on stage for like 2 seconds. Gordon, he shows up for his 2 wives. So he shows up and Mia, she sees him and she was like, oh, hey, daddy. How are you, daddy? Yeah, here's my other wife right here, Jacqueline. Jacqueline kissed him really quickly. So eventually they all sit down. Wendy and Eddie, they show up. Wendy looks so, so good. She takes the seat. The show continues. Karen, she's eventually on stage for more than a minute. And I believe this is like the question and answer thing, right? I believe they asked her, oh, where do you find love? And obviously not the same place that Giselle looks for it. But Karen, she was just like, well, you know, with me, I got lucky. I found Ray. With Ray, I'm happy, and he's the man of my dreams. So then I believe the second question was, oh, what's like the best moment in your life? What's a moment that makes you feel so powerful? And her answer was so corny. Of course she's going to say it because she's in front of the audience. So she was just like, the best moment of my life, I think that I think I will have to say right now in front of everybody here, in front of all you people. And I'm like, of course. So then Mia, she gets up and I'm like, okay, what's she about to ask? So she gets the mic and she was like, Karen, I just want to ask you a question. So like, if a friend tells you something and you go around and you tell somebody else, what would you say about that? Of course, she's talking about Karen, who supposedly spread her, you know, the gossip that she told her about her, Peter's girlfriend, and Jacqueline and all this and all that to the group. Even though I'm just so confused, like I said earlier, you're on a TV show. There's a bunch of cameras filming your conversation. So regardless whether Karen has said something or not, they were still going to find out. So I don't get why she's upset about it. So Karen, she starts getting nervous and she was like, well, Mia, you know, whatever I said about you is true and that's that. This is not your show, so that's that. Whatever I said is the truth, okay? And I will only be speaking the truth. So then Mia, I believe Mia was just like, well, I mean, if you told me something, you know, I just don't want to be saying it around to everybody else. And then if I was in the crowd, I would have been instigating like Giselle was. Giselle was just like, yeah, I'm going to tell it because I'm going to tell it. I'm like, Giselle, be quiet. If I was in the crowd, I would have been like, oh, Karen, you're just going to let Mia talk to you like that? I guess you're not the grand dame after all. Just to instigate a fight. Ashley, she tries to put her producer hat on. And she was like, oh, hey, Candace, how are you? Did I introduce you to my friend Deborah right here? Yeah, this is Deborah. You know, Ashley, she's not trying to, you know, come from a nice point of view. She's trying to be malicious about it. Candace, she already sees through her BS. She was just like, oh, that's you? Hey, Elmo. Hey, Tickle Me, Elmo. So wait, so you're the person that has been spreading these rumors about my husband supposedly flirting with you? What's that about? Please explain. And I'm like, ooh, okay, Deborah, come on. You got 2 minutes to prove to us why you deserve a champagne flute for season 8. And she blew it. Because she goes on to say, at Karen's party, I was at the bar and your husband, Chris, he introduced himself to me as Chris. So I took that as, oh, wait a minute. He wants my number. He wants to propose to me. And next thing you know, he put his elbow on the table and his elbow was getting closer to me and closer to me. And yeah, he told me that his name was Chris. And to me, I thought I heard, would you marry me or something? Like, yeah, his elbow almost, you know, it was on the table. Yeah. That was so humiliating of Deborah to say. Like, she could not come up with anything to say about Chris. Like, you said that he introduced himself to you and he put his elbow on the table and that was it. That's the best that you got, Deborah. Like, it was just so embarrassing. And Deborah, your whole legacy on the Real Housewives franchise is going to be known as being a lame. And the fact that she still has the hashtag RHOP for Real Housewives of Potomac in her Instagram bio, like take that out. Like, again, cut all ties with Ashley, change your whole name, change everything, change your Instagram username, and just become a whole different person at this point because it was just so embarrassing. Mia whispers over to Candace and she was like, wait, so that's Ashley's friend? That's the one that's spreading rumors about your husband and Wendy's husband supposedly flirting with her? That's her? Candace was like, yeah, that's her. So then Mia, in the confessional, she was like, well, you know, when it comes to the looks, you know, Candace and Wendy, they're both an 8+. They're both 8+. But, I mean, Deborah, I mean, she's a cool girl. She's nice and all, and I do like her and all, but I mean, she's kind of like a 4.5, but like, she's a cool girl. I'm like, damn, Mia. You know, me personally, I believe that everybody's beautiful in their own special way. I'm lying. She's a 2.5 at best. So the show is finally over. Karen is saying her goodbye. She's greeting everybody on stage. Candace, she's trying to make her exit out with her mom. Meanwhile, Ashley was just like, Candace, I just want you to talk to my friend Deborah right here. I just want you to give her some camera time because I don't know. I feel like you have an issue with her or something or something. What's going on? Candace, she was just like, no. I'm going to be leaving. So I'm leaving. So Candace, she's leaving. And then Ashley has this way of doing these things. I don't know. I think she's basically gaslighting Candace. She has this way about her that I really just do not like when people do this. Like she tries to make you seem like you're the problem. She was just like, Candace, seriously? Like what's going on? Why are you treating my friend like this? You're being so mean to her. All she wants to do is just have a conversation with you. How dare you act like this with her? And I'm like, she didn't do anything wrong. And I cannot stand when Ashley does that. Like that undertone that she uses with people to try to make them seem like they're the issue. So Candace was just like, no, there's really nothing to talk about. I'm going to be leaving. That's that. It is what it is. And, you know, whatever. So then Deborah is just so embarrassing. First of all, it was already cringy enough that Ashley was trying to produce this scene so desperately. But Deborah, she had to jump in and she was just like, Hey Candace, I just streamed your song on Spotify, Drive Back featuring Trina. It's such a good song. Would you want to have a conversation with me and you to discuss your husband supposedly flirting with me? Do you want to talk? Please say yes. I want to be a friend of for next season. Candace, she looks at her and she was just like, no ma'am. No ma'am. And she looked so beautiful doing it too. She was just like, no, thank you. So embarrassing. If I was Deborah, I would have been like, Ashley, come on, we gotta go. I'm about to cry. Like, that's so humiliating. It's so embarrassing. Like, so then she storms off. Well, Candace, she leaves or whatever. And then she's telling everybody else, like, oh, I don't talk to Sesame Street looking bitches. I don't talk to Sesame Street characters. I'm not sure what she means by that exactly, if it's the way she looks or whatever. But I mean, I could kind of see it. I just can't pinpoint what specific Sesame Street character she's talking about. But eventually she storms off her mom and that was that. And Deborah, she's there looking stupid. Ashley, she's there looking stupid. And Ashley, you did your friend so dirty. And Deborah, you allowed yourself to be, you know, basically Ashley's puppet. Ooh, no pun intended. In this whole situation, because you know Chris didn't do anything to you. You know he wasn't coming on to you. You know Eddie wasn't coming on to you. And Wendy, this whole interaction between Candace and Tickle Me Elmo, Wendy was just looking down like, yep, I've seen this one before. Yep. She was just laughing like so foolish, like, whew. You know, but that was that. Then we get kind of like a preview of what's to come, and the Mexico trip is next, and yeah, everything is about to go left once again. So we shall see how that turns out. But let me know what you all thought about this episode down in the comments. Bye, everybody. Mwah.